All right, everybody. Let me double check my settings one more time here. All right, we are good to go. All right, so I'm not going to talk too much about the game with the Canes and the Devils coming up here. You know, there's not really anything new to report statistically. So, like, I wasn't going to make whole new slides for all this and everything. The only difference is we have Tokarski in tonight. So, we'll see if having the backup goaltender duel does us a little bit better with Jake Allen at the other end. Home ice advantage. Canes will have last change. That'll help a little bit. They've got to do better than what they did last night. I understand a lot of people were, happy with the effort and everything like that. But one of the best parts about going to see a team play on the road is you kind of bring in this unfiltered perspective. When you're at a home game, everybody is typically cheering for the same things that you are. Carolina starts a rush, you hear the crowd swell, all that type of stuff. And, it's one way to experience it. When I was up watching them play in DC this past time, and this is the second time I've seen them on the road this year because I went to go see them play in Pittsburgh, I saw a very different team that played in Washington, and the things I saw concerned me. It really, really, really did. So that's why I'm having the opinions I've been having lately that have been upsetting people and everything like that. I noticed a night and day difference between the team that I saw play in Pittsburgh. Granted, Washington's a significantly better team, but the fall off with playing with pace, the lack of having any sense of urgency, everything like that it seemed like the Canes have had lately, that's where I feel like I really started manifesting it. And when you can take a game in on the road, like I said, you're taking that in a very unfiltered way. You're actually there, but it's almost like you're watching it in a bubble because you're not watching it on TV, you're watching it in real life, but there's not many people around you to, like, other than road fans, or fans of the home team, obviously, to kind of take that in. I just had an unfiltered experience with that, and I didn't really like what I saw of the Canes. Tonight would be a good night for them to turn it around. So that's really all I got to say about this game. They got to get back to playing with pace and playing with effort. I'm hoping to God that the lines have been left alone. I'm actually going to check game day tweets real quick to see if they have, because if the lines are being left alone, that's a huge step in the right direction. It really is. Let's see. I haven't seen any updates on the lines yet, so I'm hoping that they're still the same. If any of y'all in the chat see anything different, please let me know. I'll go ahead and get to the comments here, and then I'll start talking about Felix Unger-Sorum here in a little bit. Yellow, I'm first again. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, BTS. Lackey, what's up, dude? Praying brain rot just Turkin doesn't flood the chat again. He's probably eating right now. I know that I'm going to be here shortly. We're having chicken tonight. The problem not being able to play a full 60 has been too much of the common denominator in games this month. Yes, that's one of the things I was alluding to with, like, me watching them play in Pittsburgh, and then the next game that I saw on the road was here in Washington, where, I live here and everything. But when I saw that team, I saw a team that was not playing with pace. I saw a team that wasn't, playing with the amount of effort that they can. Because what was annoying about that game more than anything, the one in Washington, you are a Natchez Post, Tyson Yost getting robbed with what's probably going to be save of the year. I don't think anything's going to top that. Those two pucks go in and you're having a completely different game. Forgive me for sounding like Rod, but the thing about it is, if that team had if Carolina had played a little bit better that night, if they played with a little bit more urgency and played a little bit harder, they might have walked away from that game with a point. They very well could have. Not to mention, we had a coach's challenge go our way that probably shouldn't have, just to be perfectly honest. So, it's like this team is capable of winning. Now, in regards to this being a transition year, a retool year, whatever you want to call it, I agree that that's the case. There are still stakes, though. Now, Griff posted something on the Caniac Sessions X that I think is a really, really good read. I would encourage you guys to go see it. I believe I shared it. It is a retool year. It is a transition year. But if you want to attract big-name free agents, if you want to have the possibility of getting someone like Nikolai Ehlers or Brock Besser on this team, the deeper of a run you make in the playoffs, the better. So that's one thing that really I want to drive home here. Just because you don't think this is a compete for the cup year, you're still competing for, let me bring in people that will help us win a cup next year and in the future. Because one of the reasons, or one of the big things that you look for to get UFAs, UFAs will often look like, is this a team that I can go to and it be competitive now? Is it already built? And then I come in there and I make it better. Someone like Nikolai Ehlers coming to this team would be remarkable for that, because I would absolutely love for him to be on the left wing of Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis, for example. I think he would take those two to the next level. Brock Besser, good right-handed sniper that you could bring in, especially, to help out the top six and everything like that. So let's see. Lackey said projected lines looking the same per Walt. Okay, good. Thank God. So I know I've been kind of harsh on Rod lately. I will say this, that is a sign of growth from him to leave the lines alone. I don't know if someone among the leadership or someone in the front office said, hey, you got to stop with the blender stuff, unless he watches the show. And Rod, I do love and respect you, bro. Don't get me wrong if you do. I'm just saying the line blender thing, it had to be annoying the players, because if it was annoying the fans this bad, I can only imagine what it was doing to the players. So I'm really, really glad that they're leaving the lines alone, and I hope the team plays consistently well enough to stay together. Now, if they can get back to playing with effort, a lot of the pucks that weren't going in before will, because I'm just not seeing the high effort game that I saw with this team before. I know that I compared this season to being kind of like the 2019 team. I'm sorry, I keep looking at my notes here because I didn't have time to put anything else together. I know I keep comparing this team to the 2019 team. One of the big differences between this team and the 2019 team, I always thought that the 2019 team, there were as many games as there were that were rough for them. I never felt like that they were completely out of it, and I felt like that they had a whole bunch of heart in there. I never felt like that Rod was going to lose the room. I never felt like that there was a really bad rift in the locker room with anybody. It felt like that they were still a cohesive unit that was playing their hardest and playing their best. The Canes have not felt that way lately. And like Lackey said in the comments, there's been a lack of full 60-minute efforts. And with this team being built the way it is, if you have anything short of a anything short of a full 60-minute effort, you're going to lose a lot more games than you're going to win in a lot of cases. Additionally, if they can get back to generating all the offense that they were off the rush, having good clean entries and getting a shot on goal, a quality shot on goal on their first look, as opposed to being dependent on the forechecking and the sustained offensive zone time and all the point shots, they will be significantly better off. So another thing with this team, we expected more than one rookie to be in the lineup, or at least I personally did. I thought that there was going to be at least two. I was expecting Blake and Nadeau, or maybe Blake and Unger-Sorum, but Unger-Sorum's got to put some muscle on. But I got a lot of good things to say about the kid that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. The standard of that kind of changed, in my opinion, because one, they came out well and they showed that they can win. That's one thing that you have to consider. Two, the Metro is not as strong as it looked like it was going to be, with the Rangers kind of falling off and the Flyers kind of hanging around, but still, like, they're probably not a threat to be competing for it and everything. Columbus looks like they're, going in the right direction ultimately, but they shouldn't be, a team that Carolina has to worry about. Penguins, same thing with them, even though, they very well could sneak up on the Canes and cause a problem in Metro 3. So the difference is now you don't have as many rookies in the lineup as there could have been. There could have been two, there could have been three potentially, at least based on what I saw at the beginning of the season. Eric Robinson has come in and exceeded expectations. Tyson Yost has come in and he's been good enough to where, it's like, we can kind of consider if we need to clear some cap, maybe you can move Drury out. Yost has played that well, in my opinion. Not to mention, Tyson Yost and Jackson Blake combined cost less against the cap than Jack Drury does. That's nothing against Jack Drury, but we have other things that we need. We need a second-line center. If the organization does not believe that Kotkaniemi is that guy, they got to start looking at other options, and that's not just for this season. That's for long-term. The season next year, the schedule is going to be just as rough because it's really condensed. It's packed really tight because of the Olympics next year, just like it is for the Four Nations tournament this year. So you got to think about that right there for one thing. And like I said before, if you want to bring in a big-name UFA, it's not just about bringing in a big-name UFA because you play well. It's because you can potentially reach out to one of these big-name UFAs on July 1st and say, hey, Nikolai Ehlers, will you knock your cap hit down about $500,000 because this is a competitive team that you're going to be on and you have a chance to win multiple Stanley Cups over the course of your entire contract, and then you cause room for improvement, or you cause belief at that point that you can have room for improvement to make the roster even better because guys are taking discounts. So this isn't just about attracting a UFA. This is about attracting a UFA and saying, hey, will you take a pay cut so that maybe we can win or have a better chance at winning, I should say. So that's the things to keep in mind with that. But it is, in fact, a transition year. I know I went in kind of hard on Rod, harder than I normally do. or harder than I have ever probably. But it still stands to reason. You have to maintain a standard. You have to maintain a winning culture, and he's good at those things. But the problem with it is it's only translating in 2/3 of the ice. We're having the same problems in the offensive zone we've been having for years. There are only 5 players that are on this team now that were on the team when Rod took over. That's Aho, Svechnikov, Martinook, Slavin, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Aho, Svechnikov, Martinook, Slavin, and Jordan Stahl. That's the only 5 guys that you have that are exactly the same. And 2 of those guys or 3 of those guys actually you don't rely on to score at all. So we have to allow the system. I won't say it needs to be completely changed because that's irrational to do this early on and at this point in the season. But it does need major adjustments from the offensive blue line on. I'll even say from the red line going into the offensive zone, because this team has shown it can generate clean entries and shots, quality shots at that, off of the rush. And that is far better and gives you far more likelihood to score than a ton of sustained offensive zone pressure and constantly putting pucks on net from the point, in my opinion. Otherwise, we would have won a cup by now. That's just what I genuinely believe about it. So we'll see how things go tonight, but that's the end of me harping on Rod today. He left the lines alone. That, to me, that's a big stepping stone for me. I'm really happy he did that. That was good on him, because I feel like 2 weeks ago, he would have thrown everything into the blender multiple times before this game started and would have changed everything right before the game. Now, we won't know for sure until warm-up if the lines stay the same, but I imagine that they're going to. Please, Rod, leave the lines alone. They will figure it out. I have faith in the players, and regardless of what I said earlier, I have faith in you too. But some things have got to start changing. Now, I'll go to some more of the comments here. Then I'm going to go through my notes on Felix Unger-Sorum, and that's going to be about it for this particular broadcast. I'm going to watch some of the Marksman game before the Canes come on and then go from there. BTS says, I won't be here the whole time. I'll enjoy the time I watch, though. Yeah, it's all good, bud. I'm not going to be on here super long today because I didn't put nothing crazy together. BTS says, I don't want to sound like a fake Canes fan, but I'm kind of happy people are realizing PK isn't the best thing in the world. It's gotten on my nerves for a long time. Yeah, I'm kind of in between on him right now. And see, that's what sucks about goalies. Goalies are so hard to project. It's so hard to figure out what they're going to be like. It's so hard to, understand their ceiling. It's like you can draft, a forward and you can kind of figure out what they're going to be a lot of times. Less so with defensemen, but for the most part, you can kind of figure out what you're going to get. Goalies, it's just so hard to project them. Their development path is weird. And they almost never are ready for even so much as the AHL on day one. You have exceptions occasionally, the Henrik Lundqvists and the Marc-Andre Fleury's of the world, but for the most part, it's so hard to project those a ton. Lackey says he's just got to control the amount of softies he lets up consistently per game and his overall consistency to become like a charged up chain chomp in situations. I don't know what a chain chomp is, or maybe I do and you just call it something different. And maybe I know it as something else. Like I know what a chainsaw is. I know what a bike chain is, but I don't know what the hell that is. So, yeah, I think PK has improved. There's more consistency there than there was before, but there's still some things. That's what's annoying me about it. One day it's like, okay, he's got the aggression reined in, but he's still aggressive enough to play the way that he needs to. And then there's other days that he's throwing a stick in the air trying to knock goddamn puck out of the air. I did see somebody post something earlier that said he was playing with a broken index finger, which also would not help him maintain the grip on the stick or anything like that. So we'll see. I don't know how true that is. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he was, though. These guys do play through some very, very crazy stuff. You want a treat, pal? 1 second, guys. Come here. Come here. Sit. Spin. Spin. Stay. 3, 2, 1. Shark. Good boy. Good job. All right. But let's get to the rest of the comments here. I'll do the notes on Felix Unger-Sorum, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Like he says, but hopefully both come with more time and some more control of his play. Yeah, and he's taking steps in that direction. It's not happening as fast as I would like it to, but stop me if you've heard this before. He's taken on more than what was expected because Freddie's hurt. All right, Sam Driscoll ready for our Florida game. Time for Kenny Agnesian to take over Sunrise. I hope so, but like the way that this team's playing right now, I don't know how many people would make the trip. I'm looking forward to the trip either way because I enjoy going to Florida. And, you know, we've got a whole lot of fun stuff planned there and everything. Are you kidding me, dog? 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Let me get back to what I was doing here before I was rudely interrupted by that rodent over there. But he's my buddy. So I'm really, really happy about that. Let me get to some more of the comments here. Sam Driscoll says, ready for... Oh, yeah, we already talked about that one. Mario Bros. Villain. Oh, you're talking about Frank? Yeah, he is. He's a villain, all right. Villain of my wallet. Villain to my time. Weird dog. He's my buddy, though. We had a little bit of a health scare with him a couple of weeks ago, and he turned out being fine, so I'm really happy. Yeah, the Mario dog. That's essentially what he is. He's even got a Mario dog name, Frank. Lackey says basically what I was meaning is that the way he comes is... With that is the way that he comes out of the crease too much. Yeah, absolutely. If you're in reference to Kochekov, yes. Coconut Kyle says, I'll take the treat, but I still have to go outside. That's exactly what he did to me. He couldn't wait another 10 or 15 minutes. He really had to go, though, so I'll give him that. Our BTS says, our biggest problem other than Rod is our big players aren't stepping up. Natchez is slowed down, and Aho isn't doing a lot, and Svets is playing okay, but still could be better. Yeah, see, that's where I'm kind of different from everybody right now, because I'm putting a little bit more on Rod right now than I am on the players, because we've seen this year over year where they managed to produce at least something in this system. And then now finally it looks like the wheels are starting to come off, because they're getting a lot of the same looks, a lot of the same chances, a lot of the metrics are the same, yet we're still having these issues where guys are like not producing all of a sudden. I think it was only a matter of time until something like this happened, because the beginning of the season, everything was clicking. The power play was working. The clean entries were happening. Shots off the shots off the rush that were good on the first entry. All that was happening. And now it's not been. So, it's regressed a whole lot, particularly in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. Coconut Kyle says, at Sam Driscoll, hope you guys enjoy it. Florida has had our number recently. Yeah, that's one thing I'm worried about. It would be a really good time tonight for the Canes to get back into form. In Florida, like, they got smoked today, so hopefully that's the case. Frank the Tank says, must win tonight, guys. ECU and State playing in the same area. Bet traffic is going to be a bitch. Yeah, I imagine it would be. That's one of the reasons why BTS will be back one day. That dog needs him. Yeah, I need that dog too, so I can't be too upset. Yeah, see, yeah, Frank, like I don't think Rod's the weak link, but he's got to like let some of the more offensively minded players, he's got to turn them loose and let them do their thing. It's like Martin Natchez should not be expected to play the exact same game as Jordan Martinook and Jordan Stahl. Hell, he shouldn't be expected to play the exact same game as someone as complete as Aho. But we need somebody who will cheat a little bit on the defensive side of things to get a step and generate more offense at the other end of the ice. And Natchez and Svechnikov are the two guys that I think are the most hamstrung by this system. Now, does that mean that they stay here long term? That's another thing that I think could come into question in the near future. Coconut Kyle says, damn, didn't realize those two got a bowl game matchup. That'll be a good watch. Yeah, it should. I'm gonna turn the Marksman game on as soon as I'm off of here and watch that until the Hurricanes game starts. Sam Driscoll will be first road game. I'm so pumped. Yeah, road games are fun, dude. I actually, in a lot of ways, I enjoy them more than home games, because they're extra fun when you win. Because like Carolina's had Washington's number for the last few years up until this year, and it was really fun every time I got to go to Capital One and see them play. January last year, that was my favorite game that I attended the entire season. It was really awesome. Coconut Kyle says Aho's output has really been the biggest problem, I think, statistically. Not so much effort. Yeah, no, the effort's there with Aho. I think that he was playing through a little bit of an injury of some sort at some point, and it looks like he's gotten over that, because there's certain things you can tell. Like, every player has, a bellwether stat, and then there's other things that you can look at to see, if they're playing well. With Aho, if he's not playing with that really high compete level that he does, especially for a top 6 player, if he forechecks like, his job depends on it, and he's trying not to go back to the minors. When Aho is playing like that, he's fine. If he's not playing like that, then there's something a little bit off with him probably. I really think that they'll be fine. Or particularly, I think Aho will be fine. Because I did see glimpses of where he was making those individual effort plays where he would step up in the neutral zone, use his reach, knock the puck off somebody's stick, take it the other way, and either distribute the puck or just take it to the net himself. And where he was playing that really good 200-foot defensive game, when he's doing that, he's fine. That's not really been him lately. It's gotten back a little bit better. I've noticed the last couple of games in particular, I felt like the effort had really stepped up with him. Part of the problem that Aho's had is not having consistent line mates, but it looks like Aho's leaving him and Jarvis alone, and him and Jarvis have more chemistry than Aho and Teravainen ever did, in my opinion, and he's not trying to saddle him with Svechnikov because Aho and Svechnikov, they just don't have chemistry. Rod has tried that over the course of, on several different occasions over the course of the last several seasons, and it's just not there. I'm sorry, but it's not. As great as it would be to have that for a top line, it's not going to work. Svechnikov is much better off being with Necas and Kokoniemi until Drury gets back and Kokoniemi inevitably gets shoved down the depth chart, which that's just not going to – it's not good. Sam Driscoll says, watching this while sitting in the airport heading to Florida, flight got delayed 2 hours. Yeah, I'm really hoping we don't deal with that on Monday morning because that's when we're leaving, is we're going to fly down – we're flying down on Monday. So I'm hoping the weather here is kind to us and we can leave on time because I'm really looking forward to getting some better weather. I've been working like crazy lately. I'm looking forward to propping my feet up for a couple of days. Coconut Kyle says scoring woes in the middle of the season instead of the playoffs may make him force his hand early rather than sticking to the same script. Yeah, he's got to change some stuff. I'm not saying to completely reinvent the wheel, but he's got to change some stuff because, last night it was 5.99 expected goals, all situations, and we only scored twice. That happens a lot. And then we hear the same thing in the postgame interview to the point where you can almost predict verbatim what he's going to say about it. I understand he's not going to call the players out publicly to he's not going to totally put them on blast. I had an exchange with, I won't even call it an exchange. I had a conversation about that with somebody on X earlier today. So little things have to change, but little stuff will cause you a ton of problems. And that's what's been going on lately. But in 2/3 of the ice, this system works fine. What goes on in the offensive zone is where we're having a problem. So until that changes, this team is not going to get any better. And like I said before, yeah, this is a transition year. That doesn't mean you take the year off. That doesn't mean you get to suck, especially if you're trying to get Nikolai Ehlers, Brock Besser, hell, dare I say, Mikko Rantanen. If you're potentially trying to get them in a Kane sweater, you can't take this season off. You have to show guys like that you're ready to win now. It's like, the French wouldn't have helped us in the Revolution if Washington didn't cross the Delaware and do what he did. So, now's the time that the Canes need to cross the fucking Delaware if they really want to bring in a big name UFA and especially get them to take a little bit of a pay cut. Maybe they got to get the gears turning again. That's all there is to it. So that's the stuff that's got to change. So now that we're caught up on all that, I've got some notes here that I took on Felix Unger-Sorum from the game in Slovakia the other day. Now, one of the good things about the World Junior Championship and being able to watch Felix Unger-Sorum play in this, in contrast to last year, I've been watching him play in Chicago. I watched a little bit of what he did in Sweden last year when he was playing there. The cool thing about it is you get a very stark contrast in regards to Felix Unger-Sorum literally a year ago to how he is now. That gives you a good opportunity to see an actual black and white difference of how he was playing before, how he's developed since then, and how he's playing now. So first thing to note, Sweden is utilizing Unger-Sorum as a forward, but I did notice utilizing him as a winger as opposed to a center. But there are some things I noticed with his game that are particularly good. One of the first things that I noticed, very first shift, I noticed noticeably better puck pursuit, higher compete level. Now, that's not to say that Felix Unger-Sorum wasn't competing hard before, but when he didn't have the puck, instead of him having kind of a technical type of forechecking, it seems like he's leaned a little bit more into the effort side of the forechecking. And I noticed that from the very first shift. Skating, noticeable improvement, higher speed. The edge work is still really good, but he's definitely gotten faster. And that's really good considering he's not grown into his full body yet. He doesn't have all the strength that he's going to have in his lower body yet. But as he gets older and as he gets stronger, puts on some muscle, gets better condition and everything like that, expect the overall speed of his skating to improve. But I'm already seeing a pretty significant difference. It's significantly better than it was at last year's World Junior Hockey Championship. The ability to make plays has gotten better. I expected this, but it actually took a little bit more of a step than what I noticed. I particularly noticed on the power play, Felix Unger-Sorum has this really good ability to slow the game down when he has possession of the puck. And one of the other things that I really, really like about this kid, his head, his hands, and his feet are really synchronous with each other. They work almost in harmony. One of the problems that we used to talk about Nate is having, there was a disconnect that he had to mend between his feet, his hands, and his brain. I see none of that with Felix Unger-Sorum. He's very decisive in whatever he decides to do. His ability to handle the puck and his skating ability are all working basically in perfect harmony. So if he decides he wants to make a deceptive play and do a little toe drag, pull the puck back or anything like that, button hook really hard on the skates, he creates time and space all on his own, and he does it. He can do it very quickly, or he can wait until the right moment and then do it very slowly and create himself time and space. His edge work is really good. It's improved significantly compared to last season, in my opinion. And along with that, his ability to handle the puck in tight spaces has also improved. So everything that you want to see in regards to Felix Unger-Sorum being a playmaker, he is making significant progress in that, and that's the things that you want out of that kid. You want him to do the things he already does well. You want him to do them better, and that was one thing that I noticed. Now, as far as him being a power play asset, he's not being utilized on the penalty kill by Sweden, but him being a power play asset, as dynamic as he is, I can see him being in the bumper spot. He could play on the left or the right, or be the other guy on the point, i.e. what Teravainen did a lot when he played for the Hurricanes, and there are some similarities in those two, the game between those two. Defensively, very solid. I feel like it's actually improved significantly. Away from the puck, he does have really good defensive awareness in the neutral zone. He likes to go reload at the blue line to help try and deny zone exits very significantly, very Aho-like in that regard. So overall, I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of the kid. In the game versus Slovakia, it was a 5-2 win. He was +4, and he had 2 assists. I really think that we've got something special here with Felix Unger-Sorum. But that was just the notes that I managed to take on him for the first game. I'm going to try, if I can go somewhere and watch the game tomorrow, I will, so I can take some more notes on him. He's the prospect I'm keeping the eye on most. I unfortunately did not get to watch Canada get beaten by Latvia. Oh my God, that feels so good to say. So I have no notes currently on Bradley Nadeau. However, I would highly recommend checking out Kane's prospects page if you want to get an idea of how Nadeau is doing, and feel free to clown World Hockey Report for saying that Nadeau wasn't going to help that team. So that's basically all I've got on Felix Unger-Sorum for right now, but everything that you want him to do better, he is doing better. Coconut Kyle says Urbe has to be happy. Yes, Arthur Urbe is probably very happy, and so is what's his name, Sandis Ozolinsh. Yeah, they're probably both really happy. That's who let me make sure I'm thinking of the right guy. Okay, all right. I was right, because I remember that Sandis Ozolinsh played for the Hurricanes because he was the last defenseman to have a hat trick before Jacob Slavin got that one against the Islanders a few years ago. But yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Felix Unger-Sorum. All right, gentlemen, that is going to be it for me tonight. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being patient with me while my dog decided that he wanted to go out. You couldn't just wait 10 more minutes, could you, pal? I wouldn't trade that dog for nothing. I really wouldn't, though. Or my little dog. And, you know, the woman I live with, I like her a little bit, too. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. Let's hope the Canes win. I should be able to do damage report after this game. However, that will be my last anything probably, except for maybe a random post on X here and there, up until the January 7th game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's when I'll be getting back into town, and I'll see if I can do something for that game. You guys take care. I will see you next time. Sam, I will see you in just a couple of days. Alrighty. Y'all have fun. Let's hope this game goes well.